Men and women all over the globe are joining now for the best videos on the internet.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
And I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Click the subscribe button now to become a member of the Action Pack. Would you like to know more?
Hello everyone and welcome. Bear with me because I have a little bit of a sore throat. It's really dry in my house in the morning, and when I wake up I have a sore throat. I need to get a humidifier, man. Anyway, Fox's Alien franchise has one of the most iconic, I would say probably the most iconic movie monster in cinematic history, but is also one of the largest franchises in both cinematic and video game history. It's huge. The movies, starting with a horror movie, has branched out. The movies have branched out into, action, a little bit of drama, even existentialism, with the Prometheus and all of that, and the video games have spanned almost every, subgenre of video games, of the video game media. So it's very hugely popular, very, very iconic. But since I have been a kid, the video games and even like the movies have had a little bit of a rocky thing going on. The Prometheus and then its sequel, they both had mixed reception, and then also, the video games have been really hit or miss. But there is a new video game that has come out recently, which is the subject of today's video. I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is the After Action Review for Aliens: Dark Descent. The Action Pack needs you. You can support Mike's After Action Reviews on our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Every quarter, once we've made at least $200, we're going to be giving away 10% of our earnings from Patreon in a giveaway over on our Twitch, so go check that out as well. You can find all of the links for everything in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do your part. Support the pack, the Action Pack. So, starting off with the game's production. Aliens: Dark Descent was released on June 20th, 2023. It was developed by Tendalos Interactive, most well known for Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 from 2019. And also having done Battlefleet Gothic Armada in 2016, the first game. Both of those games are such a mouthful, and I'm so happy I have this voice-activated software because, I'd have a couple takes to get through that. Okay, so it was published by Focus Entertainment, most well known for A Plague Tale Requiem from 2022, and also having done Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun in 2023. The music was by Doyle W. Donahue, most well known for Space Hulk Deathwing in 2016, and also having done Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters in 2022. Man, Warhammer, you guys have got to trim the fat with those names, man. It's a mouthful. Anyway, moving forward onto the game's story. Aliens: Dark Descent is set 20 years after the events of the movie Alien 3. The game starts off on Weyland-Yutani's Pioneer Station, orbiting the mining planet of Lethe. We follow the station's deputy administrator, Michael Hayes, as she investigates an irregularity with a cargo ship, the Bentonville, from planetside. Hayes quickly discovers that the ship in question is transporting deadly cargo, xenomorphs. with aliens killing or impregnating the crew of the station, and the Bentonville now having left the docking bay and possibly heading off to infect another planet, Administrator Hayes makes the decision to initiate Cerberus Protocol. Cerberus Protocol activates satellites armed with heavy weapons surrounding the planet that destroy any ships in its proximity or above low orbit, effectively quarantining Lethe. Nothing gets out, nothing gets in. Just as Hayes is about to be killed by an alien, she is rescued by Sergeant Jonas Harper and the United States Colonial Marine Corps soldiers under his command. With their ship, the USS Otago, being forced to crash land due to damage from the Cerberus Protocol weapons platforms, the Marines, Administrator Hayes, and the aliens are trapped on Lethe. The game's story plays out with your squad of Marines under Sergeant Harper's command, and with the help of Administrator Hayes, traveling across Lethe as you unravel the mystery of the aliens on the planet. Rescue as many survivors as you can, and try to escape before it is too late. Aliens Dark Descent feels like an amalgamation of 3 games that I actually particularly liked. Much like Alien Isolation, I would describe the game as fun, but while not exactly scary, quite stressful. Through different mechanics that I will go over shortly, it is made very clear to players that the ideal scenario would be to avoid engaging the aliens as much as possible. As badass as your Marines are, they are nothing compared to the universe's perfect organism, especially en masse. Mix that with the real-time isometric combat system from Dawn of War 2 and a progression and management system much like XCOM, and you have an idea of what you will be getting yourself into when playing this game. Now, I want to be very clear here and say that I do not mean to say that the game is a copy-paste job. Tindalos Interactive has actually done a great job of taking inspiration from things that have worked in the past while also ensuring that the game is unique and original, and we're going to talk about some mechanics that they use to do that here in just a minute. But something to be highlighted here is that while the isometric perspective typically makes a meaningful connection with a game's characters difficult, Alien Dark Descent avoids this issue with good writing and cutscenes. It actually reminds me something of Baldur's Gate 3. Nowhere near to that scale, and I would also say, let's be honest, not to that quality, but it does a really good job of keeping you involved with the characters that you are playing the story with. It should also be said that world building and lore are done well through private logs and journal entries of characters that you find throughout the game. Yeah, so you get, little log entries and stuff, which is something that the Alien games have had for a while, especially like Alien Isolation. That was a big deal. But before moving on, I want to go over the story structure very quickly. The story structure here is done almost exactly like the XCOM series, to this game's credit, because XCOM is a great game. The Otago, the game's hub, is where most of the cutscenes and dialogue occur. From here, you select the area where you want to deploy your troops. You can deploy them to your current objective, or to any area that you have already visited if you would like to go back and get any missed resources or collectibles. Once you have returned to the Otago, you will have used your deployment for that day and must move forward to the next day in order to deploy your squad again.
New objectives are awaiting.
A few things should be noted about this system. Everything that you do while deployed to an area is static, meaning that you can leave a mission area and return later without losing your progression, which is a deviation from the XCOM formula. So, if you have injured Marines, are low on resources, or are becoming overwhelmed by the aggressiveness of the aliens, you can head back to base and recover and fight another day. As you progress to the next day, you will often be presented with a prompt that describes some sort of dilemma, like we discovered a thing that we can send people to go examine, some soldier is having some problem, how do you want to deal with it? This requires you to make one of 2 choices that each have their own pros and cons. I don't want to get into that too much because I want you to discover that stuff for yourself. Also, each day you will receive a certain number of supplies depending on how many engineers are currently on the Otago, and those supplies are used to purchase equipment for your Marines. As each day passes on Lethe, the infestation level of the planet increases. Once a new infestation threshold is reached, the difficulty of the game is increased because the number of aliens that you will encounter on your deployment increases. This gives the game an increased sense of urgency. I said increased a lot right there, man. Moving on to the game's core gameplay mechanic, combat. Aliens Dark Descent is isometric and plays much like Dawn of War 2. Your squad moves around the map as a single unit with green and white indicators for where each individual unit will stand. Green indicates that the unit will be behind cover. Placing units behind cover reduces damage from enemy gunfire, while crouching behind cover in a gunfight completely stops enemies from hitting you. Furthermore, if your squad has not been detected, you can hide behind cover while crouching to stay hidden. And yes, you did hear that correct. There are human enemies in this game that are going to be shooting at you. I'm not going to get into that because of spoilers, but I will just say that they are done well, and I also appreciated that they are not as prevalent as the aliens that you fight. Speaking of the game's stealth system, in order to avoid being overwhelmed by hordes of aliens, it is essential to avoid detection whenever possible, and properly position your squad for engagements that cannot be avoided. But fear not, as impressive as the aliens are, there is a tool that you have that they do not, namely, the classic and iconic motion tracker. The motion tracker shows enemies moving within 60 meters of your squad, giving you a unique advantage. Do note that explosions or gunfire will draw the attention of any enemies within the range of your motion tracker, so this is something that needs to be considered when entering combat or using explosives to clear debris. As an enemy approaches your squad within their line of sight, you will see a yellow line going from the enemy to one of your squad members. This line will quickly turn red as the enemy detects you. You can avoid being detected by moving out of the enemy's line of sight before the red line reaches you, or by crouching behind cover. There are a few important situations that you will need to be aware of when attempting stealth. Drones can hide in vents to ambush your team. When you approach a vent with a drone in it, you will see a red circle on the floor indicating its detection range. A white expanding circle represents the alien's awareness of your squad. When the white circle expands all the way to the red circle, the alien will fully detect you and attack. You will need to move outside of the red circle before you are detected to avoid this. Sometimes you will find aliens in stasis. This is basically the alien sleeping. Aliens in stasis are completely stationary and will detect your squad at a much slower rate. One last thing to mention about stealth. Much like most other games, sprinting will cause enemies to detect you much faster. And actually, to be honest, it is not a good idea to sprint in this game as a general rule. Not only does sprinting make you easier to detect, but your squad is also unable to fire their weapons while running. While stealth is advised, it is not always possible. So it is a good thing that your Marines are well trained and armed to the teeth. There are 5 classes of Marines in the game. Classes can be assigned to Marines as they level up. You have the Techers, that are the technology experts. They can hack doors, repair synths, and buff turrets, among other things. Gunners are the weapons experts. They have a variety of buffs that make them leaders of the pack in terms of open combat, and are the only class that can use the smart gun. Recon Marines provide support abilities to ensure the survival of their squad, and are also able to use the sniper rifle to stealthily take down enemies at long range. The Sergeant is the de facto leader on the ground. He offers buffs to his squad to manage their stress levels and increase their combat capabilities. Medics keep the squad healthy both physically and mentally, and provide buffs to injury recovery times and first aid in the field. Starting off, you will only be able to bring 4 squad members on each deployment, but as the game goes on, this number will increase to 5, giving you the ability to bring a Marine of each class with you to fight the Xenomorph menace. There are 4 primary weapons in the game, including the standard pulse rifle with grenade launcher, the iconic smart gun, the heavy pulse rifle offering more damage than its standard counterpart, but lacking the grenade launcher, and the plasma rifle, which offers the overload plasma beam attack. Alongside the primary weapons are the squad's secondary weapons, including the standard service pistol, the heavy damage revolver, and the fully automatic submachine gun. Each primary weapon uses the limited ammo reserve that you can bring with you on deployments, while your secondary weapons are weaker, but have unlimited ammo. Other than your primary and secondary weapons are the special weapons that you will unlock as the story goes on. These include the Area of Effect shotgun, the incinerator unit that serves to cut off the alien horde's lanes of approach to your squad, mines, the silent sniper rifle, and the high damage RPG launcher. There is more to your Marines than just their weapons. Throughout the game, you will gain access to a wide variety of support abilities, some offensive and some defensive, to aid in exterminating the xenomorph threat. Suppressive fire designates an area for a Marine to lay down fire upon. This Marine will have an accuracy penalty, but enemies entering this area will be slowed down significantly. Flares light up an area and cause any Marines shooting enemies within that area to receive an accuracy buff. There is a deployable drone that will follow your Techer Marines around, attacking enemies alongside your squad, and it also has the bonus of being able to seal doors. This drone can even be manually controlled for scouting areas, and aliens ignore it. These are just a few of the abilities that your soldiers will learn. To activate abilities, you spend command points. Command points regenerate over time. Retribution is the last ability that I want to talk about. This is the ultimate ability, the Hail Mary that you use in a pinch when the situation is dire. Retribution has a gauge that fills over time whenever your Marines either take damage or increase in stress level. Once the gauge is filled to at least 30%, you can activate the ability. Retribution increases your squad's bravery, which acts as a type of armor against stress, speeds up command point regeneration, and restores 2 health points for every Marine. There are 4 resources that you will need to keep track of when you deploy your Marines. Each Marine brings 2 magazines on each mission, 1 in their weapon and 1 in their inventory. Ammo, and all of the resources for that matter, can be found around each of the mission areas, and relevant abilities can increase or even replenish the ammo that you can carry. Tools allow your Marines to weld doors shut in order to create shelters where they can replenish health and reduce stress. This also serves as a way to save the game without having to go back to the Atago. Tools are also used to hack certain doors and repair synths. Medical supplies are used when performing first aid on your squad members or to reduce their stress. Finally, sentry guns automatically target enemies that enter within a marked cone in front of them. Place sentry guns before a large encounter, during a boss fight, or when defending an area to give yourself an edge. 2 key factors in any combat system are the status effects, both positive and negative, that your units can gain, and the nature of your enemies. So, let's talk about something that I have mentioned a few times so far: stress. Along with health, which is depleted when taking damage, and armor, which is shown above the health bar and can be damaged by the alien's acid blood, your Marines have stress, indicated under their health bar as a percentage. Stress rises when your Marines are detected or being hunted by aliens, with the amount of stress a Marine receives per second being affected by any relevant traumas or certain wounds. When a soldier's stress reaches 100%, they reach the next stress level and gain a temporary negative status effect. There are 3 stress levels, allowing your Marines to gain up to 3 temporary negative status effects. Stress and its temporary effects are reset at the end of every deployment, and during deployments, taking medications and creating shelters will help you manage your stress. It should also be noted that bravery is a stat that your Marines have that reduces the amount of stress they take per second. Traumas are the semi-permanent, long-term effects of stress on your soldiers. Trauma points are gained at the end of a deployment based on the highest stress level that a unit experienced. After gaining 3 trauma points, a trauma is gained that negatively affects your ability to manage that Marine's stress, such as depressive, which increases the stress level they start with on a mission. After a trauma is gained, the Marine will still gain trauma points, but these new trauma points go towards increasing the intensity of their trauma. This sounds scary, but do not worry. As I said, traumas are only semi-permanent. Traumas can be removed from a unit by sending them to the psychiatric care unit for a few days. The ability to use the psychiatric care unit is gained as you go through the game's story. Light wounds can be healed during a deployment with a medkit or by resting, while heavy wounds can only be healed in the Atago's medical bay and may require prosthesis. There we go. I got it that time. Do note that when a Marine drops to 0 health, they may die instantly rather than receiving a heavy wound. Aggressiveness level is exactly what it sounds like. It describes the aggressiveness of the aliens on your current deployment and determines the difficulty level of your mission. As the aggressiveness increases, more xenomorphs appear on the map. Aggressiveness rises over time when you are detected and hunted by the Hive, but pauses when you are undetected or have created a shelter by welding the exit shut of the room that you are currently in. When you reach maximum aggressiveness, your chances of survival are extremely low, and it is recommended that you extract your team. You can continue where you left off with your objectives in another deployment. One last thing to mention about combat before we move on to special features is your vehicle. The ARC, or Armored Recon Carrier, allows you to redeploy your squad to different locations on the map, secure survivors, and extract your squad from the mission. The ARC is armed with a heavy cannon and is immune to damage by the xenomorphs. This makes it quite useful to strategically position the ARC to defend yourself against enemies trying to overtake your position. Moving on to the game's special features. We will start with the hub, the Atago. Just like the hubs in the XCOM series, there are different sections of the Atago that each serve a different purpose. 5 in total. There is the command deck, where you will progress the day and launch deployments. Medical quarters, where you can heal Marines both physically and mentally. The laboratory, where you will research new tools to use against the xenomorphs. The workshop, where you can purchase new equipment for your Marines. And the barracks, where you will manage your soldiers' upgrades, attributes, and training. There are 2 different collectibles in the game. Data pads, which serve as journal entries that tell the story of things that happened before your arrival in the area of the mission, and Xenotech. Xenotech is collected from Queens, and it allows you to research interesting buffs for your squad, such as longer detection times for aliens or armor that is resistant to alien acid. Okay, so let's talk about one of the best parts of these types of games. The customization and progression systems. You can customize the name, appearance, voice, and even the nickname of each of your Marines, a la XCOM. And while the customization is not very deep, it is pretty cool to be able to make approximations of yourself and all of your friends to go hunt aliens with. On the other side of things is the progression system. When a soldier levels up, you will be given a choice of 1 of 3 random attributes selected from a pool of 16. These attributes do a wide variety of things, like increasing movement speed, increasing armor, or refilling ammo when sheltering, just as an example. At level 3, you will be given a choice to assign Marines 1 of 2 classes from a pool of 5 total classes in the game. At level 3, 6, and 10, your units gain a class-specific attribute that gives them access to special weapons, positive status effects, or special abilities. There are also 5 upgrade slots that unlock as soldiers level up, at level 1, 2, 3, 6, and 10. There are 4 common upgrades: an accuracy buff, an increase to the number of magazines the soldier brings on deployments, an increase to the number of tools and medical supplies the squad can carry, and an increase in the number of bullets in each magazine that soldier uses. There are also 3 class-specific upgrades for each class that give status effects or abilities that complement their class's loadout. One last thing to mention is that each Marine has a personality trait that gives them a negative buff, such as Coward, which reduces bravery by 2 for each aggressiveness level. I love my awesome Support the Troops Stormtrooper mug. Do you know where you can get a mug just like this one, but different? Bottega Krua. Bottega Krua is an Italian born and raised artisan trained at the Academy of Fine Arts in Venice, Italy. Since 2010, Bottega Krua has offered unique handmade and hand-painted ceramics, pottery, and other artistic products. You can find these products at her Etsy store by following the link down below. She also takes custom orders, but they may take longer to ship because she has to make them after you order them. So, go check out Bottega Krua to get yourself an awesome mug just like this one, or the ones you've been seeing behind me as this ad has been going on. Remember guys, supporting our partners is supporting the pack, the Action Pack. So, moving on to my final statement and review score. Per our new way of doing things here at Mike's After Action Reviews, we're going to do the sustains and improves. So, we will start with the sustains. The atmosphere of the game is amazing. It really is interesting how Tindalos Interactive has captured horror, or at least thriller, and injected it into an isometric game. It is absolutely great to see. Okay. Second, sustain. The combat is done so well, with the aliens being perfectly balanced between difficulty and the player's need to progress. While your squad will get more and more powerful, the rising tide that is the alien horde will keep you on the razor's edge of victory or defeat. So our third sustain, the complexities of the game. This is where it separates itself from those 3 games I said it's an amalgamation of, XCOM, Alien Isolation. It's actually the least like Alien Isolation, but still. So XCOM, Alien Isolation, and Dawn of War 2. While there are many different mechanics that affect moment-to-moment gameplay, everything does remain accessible and easy to understand. I would also say that it is the variety of mechanics stacked on top of each other that make the game feel like a proper Aliens title and separate it from other similar games. We've had a couple games come out, Alien Colonial Marines felt like a generic shooter, and the aliens themselves didn't actually feel like the alien enemies that we are used to from the Aliens movie, or even, Aliens, Prometheus, Alien 3, all of those, they just felt very generic. But here we have actual game mechanics that are tailored to making this an alien, an alien experience. Not an Alien, because Alien was the horror game, but like an experience within the Alien franchise, excuse me. Okay, so then we're going to move on to our improves. So our first improve, cutscene graphical quality. Alright, so while graphical fidelity is not a big deal for me personally, I cannot pretend that the character models here are on the cutting edge of technology, and it would be nice to see this improved in a sequel. It actually makes me think of like Blizzard when we have Diablo. I think I've talked about this before. I never played Diablo 3. I basically quit at Diablo 2. Lord of Destruction. But that is an isometric game, but they have cutscenes. Now, they don't have cutscenes with your character in them, but they have cutscenes, and through those cutscenes, it almost feels like a movie. This is not like that at all. I'll give my thoughts on that at the end, but we'll move on to our second improve. So, more weapons! While there are plenty of customization options via the attributes, traits, and upgrades, there are less than five primary weapons in this game. It would be nice to get more of a variety, like Another game that I reviewed recently and I said was very good, I liked it, was Aliens Fireteam Elite. They had a wide variety of weapons for you to use rather than just, the pulse rifle and the smart gun and then some kind of sniper. They actually have a bunch of cool weapons that they could have probably used those weapons, maybe even had a modification system to your weapons like we've seen in XCOM, using similar modifications, or maybe even just the same modifications that they used in the game Fireteam Elite. I really would like to see that in a sequel moving forward. If we get a sequel, hopefully we do, and I will cover this game in my upcoming action update. We'll talk about if it was successful enough and whether it's going to get a sequel or not. So, anyway, so those are my improves and sustains. So kind of giving my kind of final statement here and the review score. I really liked this game. I really liked this game. And basically, it's weird. It's a weird experience because my review score was really easy. Because I went through and I said to myself, I'm going to give this an above average. I mean, it's not anything world-breaking, or not world-breaking, but like revolutionary, world-changing. But it is very good. And then I came to this part, my final statement review score, part of my script here, and I looked at the sustains, and the sustains, obviously they were all good. But then looking at the improves, I mean, okay, so not enough weapon variety. I will tell you that not having the weapon variety is not a game breaker in this game. This is done very well, as far as how you can build your squad, okay? But graphical quality and having more weapons, I mean, that was basically it. And I said, any game that is so heavy on sustains and so light on improves, I've got to give it 2 thumbs way up. Excellent.
Avanti.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this. The story itself was really good too. I won't get into it really because of spoilers, but they start to. It's like Alien 3. No, not Alien 3. Excuse me. Alien Resurrection vibes, actually. They get into some stuff where they start to look at the nature of aliens a little bit more in depth rather than them just being some, existential crisis for humanity. We start to look at what they are and what they could be for humans. I liked that here, and they do it well. So it's like Alien Resurrection, the old ones of Sigourney Weaver, but it's done much better. I think that they do a better job here. I won't get into it anymore because of spoilers. So I liked the story. The characters that we get, again, even though it's an isometric game, I really did actually like the characters. I love the XCOM formula of building your own characters. I have a little, like I said, approximations of myself and other people. Like my wife and my son and my dad and my friends, and I'm like, let's go kill some aliens. Yeah, Definitely really awesome to be able to do that. And I do not have any real big complaints. Graphical quality of the cutscenes could be improved, but if they never improved it and this game got 5 sequels that were just as good as the first, I would be happy. I don't know how. I don't know where they're gonna do that, where it would, if they could do like a sequel where it's a direct tie into this, because the story of this one is cleaned up pretty well. I guess that they could move forward with these specific characters. But anyway, so I really liked the game. Go check it out. I think it's definitely worth the price of admission, and it's really great to see the Alien franchise, like I said, spreading itself out across different genres. While we have had some misses, the hits are always really great. That's all I've got today, guys. I want to thank you all for watching and just say, God bless you all, and have a great day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord, where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my after-action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.